Well, here you go, ladies and gents. Apparently, it is what it is. Apparently, Tomb Raider is racist now. For goodness sake, Tomb Raider is racist. So what this is, Crystal Dynamics has condemned. So what's happening is Tomb Raider 1 to 3 are being remastered, not by Crystal Dynamics, actually by a completely different, a subsidiary studio that has obviously got the license to remaster it from Crystal Dynamics. So that Crystal Dynamics aren't even the ones making it, but they've saw fit to put out a disclaimer for the remaster saying the following. I literally can't believe this. The games in this collection contain offensive depictions of people and cultures rooted in racial and ethnic prejudices. These stereotypes are deeply harmful, inexcusable, and do not align with our values at Crystal Dynamics. Rather than removing this content, we have chosen to present it here in its original form, unaltered, in the hope that we may acknowledge its harmful impact and learn from it. What are you talking about? Obviously, everyone's taken this and gone, what are you smoking? What was there that was so offensive? And the only thing I can think of was the South Pacific tribe people that were cannibals. But they were cannibals. That happened. That's not harmful and inexcusable, and it's not, there's no prejudice there. That's just a fact. That actually happened. There were cannibals. And obviously the response has
Yeah, but
been...
you can only be honest when it makes white people look bad, Nate.
Say that again?
You can only be honest when it makes white people look bad.
This is true. This is true. But obviously the response has been terrible. And so, look, I was considering getting this, but since Crystal Dynamics is openly admitting to caring more about politics, Stellar Blade upgrade it is. I would say, guys, if you wanted to get this, get it anyway, because it's not Crystal Dynamics. It's another studio that would benefit. It's not Crystal Dynamics. Crystal Dynamics have got paid, probably from that other studio that has had to pay for the license to remaster it, because that's probably how this has worked. I can't guarantee it, but that's normally how these things work. But it's crazy. Look, yeah, sure. Crystal Dynamics. I'm sure everybody at the office was very offended by Tomb Raider 1, 2, 3 stereotypes. Sigh. And there's just, I mean, this. When you Google what South Pacific Islanders look like in tribes, they were close. I'm not understanding the incorrect depictions. Yeah.
No, and I agree with you. Don't
Where's
not
the
buy the
line?
game. If they had edited the game, then I would be like, no, don't buy it. But if you don't
Yeah,
buy it
yeah,
now, then you get a bunch of wokey wokes inside the company going, see, we knew it was problematic. We'll have to edit it now. So that's always the next step. I say this every time because people are like, well, at least they just put a label on it. Whatever. In this case, I'd still say, yeah, buy it. That's always a slippery slope because it's always first they put a label on it, then they edit it
yeah.
and or make it contraband and illegal for you to have. That's always the next step. And I know people will be like, oh, you're talking hyperbolic, but we're one step away from that in certain things here now, kids. It's getting
No,
that
no, I
point.
agree. But remember, it's not Crystal Dynamics either. You're not paying. If you buy this game, it doesn't line Crystal Dynamics' pockets. They've already been paid. It's the other studio that have no control over Crystal Dynamics making this statement. It's that other studio that has put the work in. It's like Aspire or something like that, who's put the work in to make this. So it's not their fault. It's But again, I mean, there's nothing. Like people are just ripping it apart. It's 500,000 people have looked at this, and the comments are terrible. Or, so yeah, Aspire Media. There you go. It says, "What is Crystal Dynamics' name even attached to this project? They had no hand, zero input in the making of the remastered collection. Aspire Media did all the work, so they would have paid Crystal Dynamics to be able to make it. I think. So what do you guys think? Because I mean, the thing is, this is just this. We all know what it is anyway. It's this nonsense attitude from these people where anything that could. I mean, look. no bloody South Pacific Islanders are going to be playing this game. Like, you know, let's get real here. And you know, they're not going to be offended by it because it's part of their history, even if they were playing it, because they were cannibals.
That's
I mean,
bullshit. I've heard they're huge gamers.
But what would you want me to, you know, they were cannibals. And the thing is, Tomb Raider, you know, the story is, yeah, we're going to actual locations, doing actual things. You know, some of it's all sort of made up and stuff like that, obviously, but still going to places. The depiction's not racist, it's true. They're like, oh, it's harmful stereotypes. What? When it's true? You, what? I'm
going to laugh at them in South Park.
What?
I'm going to laugh at them in South Park.
Oh, all right then.
Culture. Meaning South Park does this shit like in its sleep. Like, do they really, like, why? Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, as long as they didn't mess with the game, I don't care. If it just got a new coat of paint and you know, upscaled and all that's fine.
It actually looks quite good.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I don't want is all the modern audience garbage, and for them to like recreate character models because of somebody's bologna sausage sensitivity that isn't even noteworthy or accurate. And I think that's the biggest pushback that people do for stuff like this. It's like Ubisoft, when they do a remake, you can count on them destroying the game. Whereas like maybe this is different. And if so, yeah, I wouldn't discourage anybody from buying it. But if they're gonna change the game, I have the original game. I can go back and yes, the graphics are of lower quality, and yes, I have to dust off a lot of stuff and find the right plug-in wires and all that. But if I want to play a game, I'm going to do that anyway, right? So I mean, I got my Nintendo 64 right over there. I just have to go plug it into all the weird control like converter things so that it'll work. So, not to mention the fact that if you really wanted to play the real game and you'd never owned it, there's emulators out there. Go to town.
True. Well, Lone Star makes a very interesting point, which was actually relayed in some of these Twitter comments.
Oh.
So Lone Star says Crystal Dynamics need this to fail so they can keep being woke. If it succeeds, then they have to bring classic Lara back, and it will succeed. And that's the thing. So Crystal Dynamics has been refusing to basically make any more Tomb Raider games. They just don't. They don't want to make Tomb Raider games, but obviously people want them to make Tomb Raider games, and so you know, so if this is successful, it's a bit difficult to argue why you wouldn't make more. You know, it's easier to convince shareholders, presumably, that they have, and the board, that, you know, making a Tomb Raider game is a risk when they haven't released one and it's been successful, you know, recently. So they I guess by that very virtue, they do need this to fail because they don't want this to be a success. For some, look, it doesn't really make any sense why either, by the way, just as an FYI. Like, it doesn't make sense why you wouldn't want this to be successful and just make more. Like, it's just money. But obviously, it's the agenda.
Because she goes against the woke agenda. See, that's the thing. You would think it would make friggin' sense to make, you know, Lara Croft this icon of the modern female, you know, heroic movement. But what they've done to her is they have uglified her like they do with every woman now, because she is not allowed to be sexy in any way, shape, or form because people were offended that two of her biggest assets were her guns. No, y'all know where I was going with that, obviously. So they had to dumb those down way down, right? And she's not allowed to be anywhere near as sexy as she used to be. As far as the character itself, I don't know what other changes they made. I've never been a huge fan of the character, but I know people who are pretty big fans of the franchise. I know Culture and a few other people are, like Michael over at Retro Blasting and stuff. And I can't wait to see what he has to say about this. But no, I think, again, I agree with you guys. Buy the game, but let them know that this is not the kind of shit you want in front of your game, right? You can decide for yourself. Like, I don't understand why they feel like the world needs to be policed like this. Like, who are they to tell me what is offensive?
Well,
right? That's the number one thing now. No, I know, but I hear this more and more often from my friends that are black or gay or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, who are you to be offended on my fucking behalf? Right? Like, sorry for the language again, but it's true. It's like, It is the most pretentious stuff in the world. And at the end of the day, they have screwed themselves by making what was one of the most well-known, popular female characters of the 90s and aughts and turned her into a joke now. How well have the last 2 games sold? How well did that last movie do? Culture.
Oh, that movie was terrible.
Well, the last one, it did not do well.
Yeah, that bombed. That bombed.
Yeah, it bombed.
I can't remember the last time anybody's talked about a Tomb Raider game.
Well, they are now.
That's what I'm saying. Aside from this is the first time in a while, other than when she first got uglified.
Yeah, I mean that the 2018 film. I mean, it got completely wrecked. It didn't do well on IMDb ratings. Got a 6.3. It's not popular. I mean, and again, if anybody's going to love this film, it's going to be the people that are rating it on IMDb.
True.
So because I mean that's the message personified over there. And I'm saying this despite the fact that both Nate and I think even Tom have IMDb pages over there. So it is what it is. So.
Oh, the H-Cast has got an IMDb.
Somebody made one a long time ago.
Our little podcast has got an IMDb.
It's very true. Very true.
Very comical. But there you go. I just thought this was interesting to cover. I mean, at the end of the day, they're cannibals. Who cares whether they're offended? They eat people. What's the issue? There was literally nothing else in those games that could be deemed offensive. Because when I saw this, I was racking my brains. I'm like, what on earth is it that they think is so offensive about this? What is it? And the only thing is it has to be the cannibals. But they were cannibals. They ate people. What do you want to say?
Maybe it's because she didn't eat the people too.
It is staggering stupidity that we look. And this is what they dressed like as well. So they did quite well back then, to be fair. Obviously you kind of see it there at the bottom.
I made them pretty buff, actually.
But they did pretty well to depict it, I think. But no, bad times. No good. So there you go. What a bunch of absolute garbage nonsense. But again, don't not buy it because of Crystal Dynamics. Buy it to spite Crystal Dynamics, because it will go to Aspire Media, who did the work, and they've done very good work actually, remastering this. It looks very good. So if you're keen, buy it to spite Crystal Dynamics, because it will spite them.
And just for fun, in your spare time, look up statements that are similar to deeply harmful, inexcusable, and do not align with our values, because that is DEI corporate speak for we are woke and we follow this religion.
Yeah.
So
that's what it is now.
Yeah.
The new religion.
Well,
so there you go, ladies and gents.